It's electric football. That's handsome Stu, and I'm gorgeous Steve.
He's gorgeous.
Let's face facts. You're looking at two ugly, fat old men talking about football. You must love football, so you want to know who's going to win the NFC South. Stu's going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you why Stu's wrong.
Yeah, no one's hacking our phones to upload naked pictures of us. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, we weren't caught in the iCloud.
Sorry. Anyway, NFC South, I see it as this. The Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Bucks. And here's why. The Saints are not a Super Bowl team. They're not going to keep up with the Packers. They're not going to keep up with Seattle. But Brandon Cooks, they've got a wide receiver who's going to really have a fabulous year this year. I really think so. They tried to shore up the safety in the corner position with Jarius Byrd and Champ Bailey, and then they cut Champ Bailey. So I don't know who didn't have enough time to research this because we're not professionals, folks. But they were trying to shore up the secondary to keep up with those other teams whose wide receivers are just going to go running rampant on them. They can't compete outside. They can't compete against Seattle and probably Arizona. I don't know that they can even keep up with them. They'll win the division. They'll win a playoff game. But they lost Darren Sproles, and I think that they didn't replace him, and that's a huge piece of their offense. The Falcons, they could win the division with this group. No, says Steve, but I'm going to say anyway. Asamoah and Matthews will provide some strength up front, even though Matthews is struggling a little on the right side. But they've got Paul Solei from the Dolphins to clog up the middle, and he's huge and he can clog up the middle. All Matt Ryan has to do is play well. That's all he has to do. Devontae Freeman, who they have as a running back behind Steven Jackson, should he be declining, and he probably will because I picked him in the draft, will provide a decent enough running game to keep that going. Tight end, a little shaky. Panthers, how do you make up for the loss of Steve Smith and Brandon LaFell? You don't. You go to third place, not with Jericho Crotchery. Kelvin Benjamin, great pickup. I think he's going to be good in the long term, but he's not going to help this team this year. I don't know how he can step in and be a top 10 receiver. This will be a long season for the Cats. And the Bucks, here's my summation of the Bucks. Josh McCown is your quarterback. Steve?
Okay. I completely disagree with the Stu's assessment of the Bucks. Okay, I love Lovie Smith. I do. I think the guy got sort of the shaft in his last coaching job, and I think the difference between Lovie Smith and Greg Schiano may be the biggest coaching difference, just style-wise, that you're going to see in the NFL this year. And I think all of the talent on the Bucks defense is going to make a huge difference. All right. Better defensive line than the rest of the division. Alteron Werner and Deshaun Goldson, big difference in the secondary. Lovie Smith coaching is good for a couple of wins. I actually think the Bucks win the division. Call me crazy. Great.
They win the division?
I think they win the division.
Oh my God.
Doug Martin, some big wide receivers that make nice 50-50 balls go their way. Josh McCown just needs to play up to what he did last year in Chicago. I think they win the division based on the defense. And I'll tell you this, Drew Brees is getting up there in years, and he could use a little help this time other than just Jimmy Graham. They lost Darren Sproles like we talked about. I do think Sean Payton is one of the best coaches in football, and I think he's probably a better coach than Lovie Smith overall. But I believe the difference in attitude, if nothing else, that the Buccaneers are going to bring on the field is going to put them over the Saints. On the defensive side for the Saints, you got Cam Jordan and Kenny Vaccaro are going to be really the keys to that team. If they can have big years, maybe I'm wrong on this. Falcons, throwout last year for the Falcons, it was an aberration, a lot of injuries, just the team lost heart. Really, they just lost heart as the season started to get out of their control. Loss of Tony Gonzalez hurts.
Yep.
Healthy Roddy White, healthy Julio Jones, as good as any two.
No doubt about
the Bears,
yep.
But as good as any two. And then Stu talked about some of the big pickups. Jake Matthews, great brawl at the start of Hard Knocks, I might add. I believe Devin Hester will add to the kick game. And then you got your ex-Dolphin, Paul Solier, Tyson Jackson. Nothing flashy, but the kind of pickups. Oh, and Bear Pascal. I love Bear Pascal for some reason. When he was with the Giants, I love the guy's name.
Smokey Bear.
I think he's a great blocking tight end. Every once in a while, he'll sneak out there and put a little catch and jump over someone. I'm a big Bear Pasco fan.
Okay.
So I think that the Falcons are stronger overall, but not, not enough to launch them. And Matt Ryan, this is a huge season for Matt Ryan. He needs to make a statement that I do belong in the top tier of quarterbacks. It's starting to get past potential time,
Yeah.
and time for actual realization of wins in the playoffs.
I have friends who have argued for years the Dolphins should have taken him, but what has he really done with Atlanta that makes you say, boy, did we really make a mistake? Not a lot.
With all the talent he had around him. And I do think Atlanta's going to have trouble running the ball. So there you go. Panthers, what to make of Cam Newton? Does he have enough weapons on offense? I mean, they lost like their entire receiving corps.
You can't even name a receiver on the Panthers.
They have a subpar offensive line, which is not going to give him time to find these wide receivers. And he's got injury concerns because he's going to have to take off and run, and he's already getting dinged up.
Yeah.
I honestly think the Packers could win the NFC East, but they don't play in the NFC East. They play in what I think is the second best division in football, and I think they're going to be at the bottom.
Panthers or Packers? Panthers.
Panthers.
Okay.
Why did I say Packers?
I think you might have.
Good Lord.
Anyway, that's the NFC South. We totally disagree. Tampa Bay to win the division?
I honestly believe in Lovie Smith. I
Wow.
Lovey that Lovey.
We're not even drinking, so this is the scary thing. We'll be right back with whatever the hell's left in the NFC.
And we'll be drinking soon.
We will be.